Also, you know what's crazy is I've tried to buy. You know how we talk about how the capo like affects the sound of the acoustic.
Yep.
I've been trying to hold the body of the acoustic further away from me too.
Mm-hmm.
Just the top portion, just enough to lean it on me,
Yeah.
but not up against me.
We need to talk about that and do some sound by sound comparisons one day.
There's a big difference.
There's a huge difference. Well, you got to think like the front and back are both resonating in sympathy.
Yeah.
And if your body's right up against it, it makes a big difference.
Huge.
Same way with your arm. If your arm's over the top of it,
Yeah,
and
or
you're
just
hard,
like kind of on it.
or if you're basing your hand right there next to your bridge, think about how much that deadens it.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, no, I've just really tried to like do my best on barely touching the guitar.
Yeah.
And it's a very different sound.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird to think about, like barely touching a guitar. Like you spend like the first 5-10 years of playing guitar, like really getting into it.
Right.
And now I'm trying to back off of it.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to work on light touch a lot. You know, I'm really playing lightly. And that's been a whole thing too, because I've always like, you know,
manhandled,
grip and rip type thing. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
just like, yeah, now I've completely changed I'm trying to completely change my playing
It's
style.
hard to unlearn that.
Yeah. Well, let's get started on this video.
Okay.
Hey guys, welcome to Tone Bros. My name's Casey.
And I'm Colin. We're going to get started with our current topic of the day, which has to do with Guthrie Trapp and Brett Papa course. You want to talk about it?
So let me talk about that. So Guthrie Trapp, here a while back, I forget how long it's been now, but last month sometime, I believe, they released a Brett Papa video course with Guthrie Trapp. So it is hours and hours. I think it's over 6 hours worth of material that Guthrie Trapp is setting down, teaching you everything. He's going through, like, explaining. If you've watched any of his videos, it kind of is like a tip of the iceberg to what's on all this stuff. I know because they were running a little bit of a special, and I talked earlier about my goals this year and what I want to do. I want to get through a course. They were running a special. It was half off whenever it first came out, and I bought the course.
You did? Okay.
I did buy the course. It is incredible. I think it's $129 normally priced, which is still a great value. And Brett Papa does a subscription where you can pay one price and you've got all of his courses available.
Okay.
Tom Bukovac is releasing a course very soon with Brett Papa also.
Right.
So that's going to be a whole nother one. I don't have the bandwidth to work on both of them. So when it releases,
one at a time.
I got to do one at a time. I'll buy it, but I got to get through the rest of this Guthrie Trapp course because I'm trying to live with it. You know, he talked in one of his videos a while back by some people gave him some feedback. They're like, man, I got through the whole course over the weekend. And he's like, that's not how it's meant to work.
That's not the point.
Like, they just play through and like, oh, I can play that type of stuff. And like, let's move to the next lesson. But they're not letting it soak into their brain where they can use it without having to think about it. So I'm trying to take it like one lesson, play with it for 2 or 3 weeks. The next lesson, play with it for 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Obviously, some of the first lessons I got through pretty quick and was like, okay, I'm comfortable with that. But once I hit a point where I was like, okay, this is pushing my limits or my knowledge base, that's when I started kind of living with it.
Sure.
The way Guthrie teaches,
I really like his style.
it's right up my alley.
Yeah.
Because he says he doesn't know theory, guys, but he knows theory. He learned it a roundabout way. He didn't learn it, educational, going to college and doing that type of stuff.
Going to Berkeley.
He's very proud to say that, he was a college dropout. He's very proud to say he never went to music school. And he learned all this stuff from being out in the trenches and doing it. So he can kind of teach anybody. Because, you don't have to have any background in theory or anything. It's great if you do, it'll help. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to have any background in theory to learn from his course. And his course, I can vouch for it. It is incredible. Everything Guthrie plays is always fun to listen to and interesting. Brett Papa done a great job putting this course together and organizing it. There's PDF files with tab. There's all this different stuff that's out there. And Brett Papa shot it really well. High quality. There's a little app you can download and pull up all the courses on there. Highly suggest it. If you're looking for something to learn on, this isn't a sales pitch. We've got no affiliation with them whatsoever.
Right.
I'm just telling you from my personal experience, if you're looking for a course to get into, I looked at some of the True Fire stuff, the Robin Ford things, and I'm very interested in doing that eventually at some point too. But whenever I saw this released, and I'm such a fan of Guthrie and his teaching style. That's the biggest thing, is to connect with someone's teaching style is really important. He's very much about chords and arpeggios and learning the pentatonic and the major out of all this stuff, and then like spreading your wings from there, and how everything works out of the chord. And he's right. He's absolutely right. Just his teaching method works well for me.
Yeah, he, to me, my favorite thing about him is that he's really big into gypsy jazz, kind of like Django Reinhardt.
Yeah.
And that is right up my alley. I really like those sounds and just kind of the way the phrasing works with that type of music. So, I don't know. Guthrie is a very respectable guy. I think his teaching styles, it's really helpful for me. Yeah, I'm hoping to pick up some of that too.
Yeah,
so.
Such a cool guy too. Such a cool guy. So let's go ahead and move into my main topic then.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about how to shop for an acoustic guitar.
Okay.
I think we've talked about electrics and kind of looking for electrics a little bit, but I don't think we've ever really touched on shopping for acoustic guitars.
I don't think so either.
And what we're looking for. So it's also kind of a use case too. So depending on what you're going to use it for is going to kind of depict what acoustic you're looking for and what you're looking out of an acoustic guitar. But if I'm walking into a store, like what's the things I'm looking for an acoustic guitar? So do you want to go ahead and start on some of this, or do you want me to start? Because I'm kind of curious on your thought process of when you're looking for an acoustic guitar, the things that you're looking for. But
it totally depends on, I feel like, the body shape of the guitar.
Yeah.
If you're going for a parlor sized, if you're going for like orchestral, if you're going for a dreadnought, I think it really depends on it. The tricky thing with acoustics is that most of the rooms that the acoustics are in, the rooms are meant to sound big.
Yeah.
So it's really misleading. Like, I almost want to go to a dead room and listen to the guitar that way.
Yeah, I love to take an acoustic, especially you go to like a guitar center, you go somewhere and it's just a room that's solid wood, it's got all this different stuff in there. I love to pull those guitars out of there.
Right. To me, that is super important, not having it around those like really ambient types of rooms. But I do want to say, like, you know, it really depends on body shape and the feel of the guitar. I feel like it can be really easy for us to say, okay, this plays great. Okay, I know this is the sound I'm going for, but is this the acoustic that's for me? Resonance obviously is going to be important for an acoustic. I think you cannot understate like how the strings feel in reference to the fretboard. That's a really big one, and the neck shape. You can go, kind of put your hand on the back of the neck of an acoustic similar to an electric, and if that neck does not work for you, then you can keep moving.
Yeah.
I think we have to like take it back to the basics. Does the neck work? Do the strings to the fretboard work in the string spacing? And then from there, let's take it out of that room that sounds so huge.
Yeah.
And does it inspire me in those dead rooms?
And when you say work, you don't mean function. You mean work for you and how you look.
Right. Like, what inspires me to play?
Yeah.
If I am playing a guitar, especially acoustic, because it's hard to do with an acoustic versus an electric, and it inspires me and I truly like play for 20 minutes and don't think about what I'm playing, then that's a great guitar. That's kind of my bar. Like, if I am able to pick up a guitar and it inspires me for 15, 20 minutes and I, in passing time, don't think about it, that's a great guitar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to give a generic kind of answer for this, but anytime I pick up an acoustic guitar, I almost, as soon as I grab it off there, you can kind of feel, obviously, the neck and the strings and everything, if you like that, and if it passes that test. By the time I've sat down with it, just the moving it and stuff, you can almost feel like, is this thing really resonant? Does it have a lot of resonance and body to it, even before you start plucking on these strings? Like, there's just like a sense of it. You gotta consider strings, right? Strings are a whole thing too. If the strings are completely dead on an acoustic guitar,
it's hard to make a good judge call.
It's hard to make a good judgment. It's something, sometimes you can say, hey, I'm really interested in this guitar, and talk to the shop and be like, can you throw a new set of strings on here? Because I think I would like this, but these strings are just shot.
Right.
So that's always a good option. I usually start off and, we've all kind of got our standard shtick of things we play whenever we're trying an instrument out or whenever we're testing to listen to sounds. And it's not a bad thing to have a shtick like that, but because then you've got a reference point for different guitars. But I start playing a couple of those things, and like you said, if it leads me in a direction where I didn't expect to go, and it inspires me to start playing, and I look at my watch and I'm like, holy cow, it has been 20 minutes. That's a great sign.
Right.
If I'm picking something for the bedroom, maybe I pick something. You've got a GS Mini, which is a great acoustic guitar for the money, and just a great acoustic guitar in general for plugging in live sound, something smaller to pack around, but also it's a great couch setter.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to beat a GS Mini for its size and things. You probably shouldn't buy a D35 if you're going to be sitting on the couch plucking all the time.
Right.
Not saying you can't. I'm just saying it's probably not the most comfortable. And if you're playing something like a couch setter, you want something that's light and small that you can kind of throw around. Maybe not worry about because it's going to get bumped into sitting in the living room. And also something that, man, when you sit on the couch or a chair with arms, playing a guitar is a pain in the butt sometimes. You got to play it like way up here, or maybe you got to
be
sit
on the
real
edge,
forward. Yeah. And finding an acoustic guitar that you can be comfortable with in that scenario is one thing. If you're going to be playing live, think about the pickups and take a look and see, is it active electronics? Is it passive? What kind of pickups are in there? And then if you're a bluegrass guy, like, is this thing going to be a Canon?
Right.
Those guys need a Canon.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing in a bluegrass circle at a convention or something, or a festival, you need something to get above the mix, of 30 acoustic guitars and maybe a banjo or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think if you go in and are comfortable with the neck and it plays well and you feel like it's resonating well, and then after that, I'm just looking for my sound. Is it a Gibson sound I'm looking for? Is it a small parlor sound, kind of mid-rangey, kind of blues? What's that Kebmo model?
Right. The Blues King.
Yeah, the Blues King. Am I looking for something like that, or am I looking more for like a Martin kind of sound?
I think, yeah, there's something that we forgot to touch on is before you go into the store, you should have a rough idea on the type of guitar you're going for.
Yes.
There's a huge difference in jumbo, dreadnought, parlor. There's a huge difference on what you're trying to achieve. If this is a take it to the gig, play, for 20 people in a coffee shop, maybe you want a parlor singer-songwriter guitar, a little smaller body. You can go parlor orchestral or something like that. But if you're going for like the Canon thing, you're gonna want that dreadnought. If you're going for, I just want a guitar that that can kind of fill the space, and there's another guitar player, but I just want to be the solid ground. Maybe you're looking at a jumbo. It just kind of depends on kind of what needs you have.
Yeah.
But really what you're inspired by too.
Yeah, we can't tell you for sure which guitar to look at because that's going to be, person dependent.
I was about to say, think about this. Like, you are normally a Gibson acoustic guy.
Yes.
And I am more, I say Martin, but I really like Taylor sounds too. Yeah. Martin and Taylor. To me, a D18 for Martin and for a dreadnought size, and a GS Mini from a Taylor for the small body, those two realms are like my bread and butter. But you are more the Gibson acoustic. You like Martin acoustics too. But
I do. I usually like full dreadnought Martin acoustics though.
Right.
The smaller Martin acoustics don't resonate as much with me for some reason. So yeah, you'll find a camp that you go into. But I just kind of thought it was interesting to look at some of that stuff because sometimes it's hard to walk into a shop and know what to look for whenever you're looking to buy an acoustic guitar. Because there's so many out there.
Right. And I mean, just like any guitar, not everyone's going to be great even though you're looking for this exact model. When I was helping your wife pick out your J45, I went through a couple.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan. And then we finally got to a guitar. I was like, this is a great one. We need to buy it. So
play a bunch of them because no matter what's said out there, every piece of wood is different and it's going to resonate differently. Maybe some people aren't in that same camp and they think only pickups matter. But how do you say that whenever you're talking about acoustic guitars especially, right? So play a bunch of them because I've played, like you said, the same model guitar. Played 4 of them in a row and all 4 of them are slightly different. I think acoustic would be really hard to buy online.
Really hard.
Yeah. And if so, like we've said many times, get a hold of a reputable dealer, Wildwood, probably Chicago Music Exchange, Grun's. Yeah, Carter's, some of those guys that are known for having quality stuff, but also have the reputation of being like, this is a good representation of what this, a D28 is supposed to be, or what a J45 is supposed to be.
Yeah, and worst comes to worst, if you go Sweetwater or something like that, have it plecked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then also the return policies in some of those places are good, so that does help. But yeah, that's what I would look for whenever I'm shopping for an acoustic guitar.
For sure.
You want to move to your gas or pass?
Yep. So this is something that I thought would be really important for you to think about. Okay.
Okay.
This is a S-style guitar. Okay. I know you've been looking at Strats.
Yeah, that means Strat, folks.
Yeah. But Reverend now has partnered with Greg Koch. He made that Telly-esque guitar. Now there's a Strat with a center like raised section. It does have the 2 different sounds in it that you can it's a push. You do have to charge the pickups, Fishman pickups, but it's $17.99. It's a great sounding Strat. What are your thoughts?
I think it looks awesome. Greg Koch is a guy that I just about trust with anything he touches and puts his name on. I'm kind of like immediately a fan of, because he's so talented. He's played a ton of stuff. He knows what he's looking for. I do like that Telly he's got, so it makes me immediately think that I probably would like this Strat style guitar he's got. Reverend stuff's supposed to be really good. I do like the sound of these Fluence pickups. Does the charging thing bother me? A little bit. I realize we talked about the Telly style on here once before. We got a ton of people saying like, oh, are you going to play that much? However many hours it's got on it. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about, I've got a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, but I've got several guitars here. And sometimes I get on a kick with one or the other. If I go to pick it up and haven't touched it in a while, does it hold a charge for a month or two? Because I don't know, does it dissipate after a while? I do wonder about that stuff.
My only thing is, does the battery over time, is it truly going to hold up 20 years from now?
And maybe there's a replacement for that or whatever. And maybe I end up changing the pickups anyway, because you know how it is. You get a guitar and you really like it, and after a while you're like, these pickups could be a little different.
I will say, for the price, $17.99, if you throw in some pickups, it's
Yeah.
really still a great deal.
It is. It's a good price, good quality. I know their Reverend stuff's made well. I'm a big fan of it. For me personally, if I'm looking at Strat style guitars, I don't think it goes to the top of the list, but it doesn't go to the top 3 or whatever, but it's up there. Like, I would say it's a gas in a lot of ways for me. Mm-hmm. However, I'm not gonna go order it today. Does that make sense?
Right. You'd be interested in it if it spoke to you.
Yeah, I need to get one in my hands to really play it first. Because Strat style guitars can vary so much with pickups. I think even compared to like Les Pauls and things, which can vary a lot, I think there's certain guitars that vary more than others, and I think Strat's on the higher end of variants.
Strats
335s variant a lot.
Yeah.
I think those guitars, Tellys vary, there's black guards and there's white guards, and then there's like 60s Tellys. And they're, I'm not going to say they don't vary, because they honestly vary quite a bit. But I do think there's like a few distinct camps for Tellys versus, man, I've picked up some Strats and wow, big difference from model to model.
Right. Yeah, you go from Strats, 335s, you're right. I feel like those are the two that are always changing from guitar to guitar, completely different. I just thought this was a cool, different idea because I know you've been looking at Strats.
I like this one. I'm going to call it a gas for me.
Okay.
So for you?
I've already got a Strat, so it's a pass.
Yeah. If you've got one Strat, you don't ever need another one, right?
We're not going to talk about that right now.
We'll talk about that later.
Yep.
Okay. So let's go ahead and move to my gas or pass.
Okay.
So my gas or pass is about the Mythos Chupacabra?
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra?
It's a Chupacabra.
However you say it. Watch out. They're coming to get you. So this is a 2-knob drive pedal that Mythos makes. And it's based kind of off Billy Gibbons' early tones from like the Tres Hombres album. He was known for playing that brown-faced Fender amp. I believe it was a deluxe. and it just, to me, sounds fantastic. It's kind of a nasty drive. It almost gets into like fuzz-like territory, right, if you're pushing it hard.
Right.
So I'm not saying he's trying to get that exact sound, but it's in the ballpark and kind of esque Billy Gibbons.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's right up your alley.
Yeah, I think this is one I'll have to get eventually.
It's $179. I forgot to mention that. So it's something you're going to have to get eventually?
I think so, just because, like, I love the idea of, like, distortion meets fuzz. Like, the blend of that, and, like, I just want it to be a little That's why I love tweeds. Because there's just, like, the gnarliness is exactly what I love.
Yeah.
It's the fact that, like, your sound almost, it sounds like it's totally falling apart, but it's just on the edge. Like, there's something to, like, a caved-in speaker, something to just a nasty sound. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. Maybe you all are like that too. But I think this pedal is going to be one of those pedals that, like, I'm going to have to get in my hands eventually, just because, I mean, not to mention that ZZ Top tone.
Oh,
on
so
that first
good.
album.
So good. And Zach from Mythos is a huge Billy Gibbons fan.
Okay.
Huge. He loves Pearly. That's like his #1 guitar that he would love to get a hold of.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got ears for that Billy Gibbons tone. And all the Mythos stuff I've ever played has been great.
Yeah.
So, man.
I think if I can find it used out there for a good deal, I'll get it.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Yeah, you can probably find them used really reasonably. Even new $179.
It's not terrible.
That's a great price. Mythos has got good prices on all their pedals.
Right.
And for me, even though I'm not a big like caved in, falling apart sound, same way you are, I think some of that's like your Mike Campbell like influence.
Yeah, absolutely.
You love that like tweed about to die.
Red Llama way huge. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think some of that's for you. And I love that sound occasionally. It's not like my main drive sound as much as it is for you, but I love it as a texture.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, even, it's a gas, which says a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And for you?
Oh, yeah, completely. I think if I can have my guitar volume on 8 and it's a great drive sound, but I take it to 10 and it gets nasty, that'll be the test.
There we go.
Right there.
All right, so we're both going to the gas.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's go ahead and move to your main topic.
All right, this is something I've been thinking about because everybody's trying to make a mini pedal nowadays. And everyone wants a mini pedal, or at least top mount jacks. Everybody's moving to a smaller footprint. And I understand, there's trying to make space for your board, trying to get as small as you can for those gigs and stuff like that. But this is maybe a question for the manufacturers more than us. Like, should all pedals try to be mini at this point? Like, should all manufacturers try to make their pedals mini-sized or small as possible? Like, does pedal size matter? Does pedal size matter?
Yeah, I'm going to put it out there. I don't like mini pedals.
Okay, explain.
I don't like them. I don't think they save that much space. I think it's all BS. I think it's in our mind.
It ain't the size that matters.
Because the enclosure's smaller.
Right.
So everybody thinks the enclosure's smaller. It saves me space. Do I have one up here? I do. I've got a bad bob up here. Let me grab this. Okay, so we've got a bad bob here. So the bad bob obviously takes up less space than a standard box pedal. This is like Phase 90 kind of like enclosure size, right? Mm-hmm. It obviously takes up less space. So you definitely want a bad bob size like small mini pedal enclosure. But guess what? The jacks are on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So once you put jacks in the side, it's going to stick out like yay far. It's basically the same width as a standard pedal by the time you get jacks. Slightly smaller if you use like square plugs. But guess what? If you get a standard size pedal and you put top mount jacks in it, you can butt them right next to each other. Obviously, you're not going to pedal that way. But if I turn it this way, the jack's there and it's going to look goofy. So you can butt them right next to each other. And I think a top mount jack standard size pedal is my favorite of choice. I think the mini pedals are the wrong route to go for manufacturers. The problem is, problem's us. It's a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
The problem's a consumer because everybody is asking for mini pedals. They're like, "What? When are you going to put a mini pedal version of that out?
Mm-hmm.
When, are you guys going to make a mini?" No, stop asking for mini pedals. I don't like them. I think they take up more space if not the same amount of space, and then you're trying to cram them next to each other with all the jacks. If they're all top mount jacks, it's way easier.
Here's the argument to that, though. If you have, a pedal like this with a jack like this, and you flip the other, like, let's say you have another mini pedal right next to it, but the jack's here, you could fit two in about that width.
Yeah.
Just saying. But that's if you're really cramming pedals.
You really got to get in there, and then I'm having trouble stepping on them, and I'm having to watch what I'm doing in the middle of a live gig or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of mini pedals, and I think we are the problem. The consumers are the problem.
The demand for it is like ridiculous.
Crazy high. And I personally, yes, I've got a mini Bad Bob. Should I got a standard size Bad Bob? I don't think so necessarily. However, I mean...
So what if you can't get top mount jacks and these have to be side mount?
I think that's when the mini pedal, maybe for size, if we're talking alone just size, I think that's when the mini pedal makes a little more sense because you do save space then. However, I'm not all about saving space on my board. I'm not trying to cram as many pedals as I can on my board because honestly, guys,
because you don't have as many jacks as you need to for the pedals that you want and
for
power.
I would just buy a bigger board. Like, if I really honestly am just needing more pedals on there, just buy a bigger board. And yeah, we know, if you buy a bigger board, what you got to do? You got to fill it up.
You're going to fill that too, yeah.
But I'm not a fan of mini pedals. I don't think that more pedals should be mini. I don't think there should be a mini version of every pedal.
You just think they should have top mount jacks.
If possible, I think top mount jacks are the ideal. I think this pedal here is the ideal version and arrangement of jacks and size. It's big enough I can see what I'm doing. I can step on things without accidentally step on another pedal. And you can smash them together side by side. I think it's ideal. I understand that Boss pedals are never going to do top mounted jacks. I understand that Boss pedals aren't going to do mini pedals. And I'm okay with that. When you buy a Boss pedal, you know what you're getting.
That's what you sign up for.
And I got no problem with it. But if you're asking me, should all pedals be mini? Man, I got hot on this one.
I was about to say.
Should all pedals...
I didn't expect you to go on this tangent.
If you're asking me, should all pedals be mini, though? No. That's ridiculous.
I think, I don't know, I'm kind of with the consumer.
Of course you are.
I'm kind of with this market. Like, this makes more sense in my brain than this with top mount jacks.
Yeah, I know it does. Because in theory, you're like, oh, I can fit so much more.
You know what this reminds me of? Have you seen those, I don't know if it's a video or whatever, but like they're talking about how fast food joints, you go from small, medium, and large, and you pour the cup size, or pour the drink in it, it's like the same size through all three. That's what it reminds me of. It's just like an illusion. You know what I mean? It's not truly smaller, probably. Like you said, when you do the jacks. Now that is if you're not like cramming things together.
Yeah,
but
it's different if you've got side mount jacks. But if you've got top mount jacks, man, you could put those suckers, I mean, here's two pedals with top mount jacks. You can cram those suckers literally right next to each other.
Although something like the Mythos, it's a little bigger.
You know what though?
Top mount jacks though.
I still like the top mount jacks on it. Because guess what? I'm still cramming that sucker in there. They can be that tight with no problems. No cables get pinched. Nothing goes on. Versus, I mean, these two alone are going to take up a lot of space just sticking those next to each other.
Yeah.
It's going to take up that much space.
So, manufacturers, should you make mini pedals?
No.
Just make top mount jacks?
If possible. I understand it's not always possible. But
especially with like delay and stuff that goes stereo.
If you've got, you can't, you look at like the Keeley Halo.
Not possible.
I love my Keeley Halo, but it doesn't have top mount jacks. And I'm not always, I'm not going to not buy a pedal because it's a mini or because it's got side mount jacks.
Right.
I will never buy a pedal
based on the jacks.
Based on size or jacks. However, would I love my Keeley Halo to have mono outs, the top? How cool would that be? The mono outs are on the top and then extra ones are on the side. But it's got expression pedals and it's got all that, TRS connections on the side. You're never going to get a Keeley Halo with the jacks out of the top.
You know what this makes me think of?
No.
That AC/DC song. She's got the jack.
Oh, Lord.
That's what it reminds me of.
Good song, but okay. Okay.
I don't know. I think, to me, mini makes sense for depending on what the pedal is. Like Wampler makes the Moxie.
Yeah.
That makes sense to do mini.
Why?
Because
the original had top mount jacks.
I think the Mini makes more sense. I'm not saying there's a reasoning behind it.
Okay.
I'm just saying it makes more sense.
I think he made the Moxie as a small version like that and Mini because his tumness hit the market and was so popular.
Exploded.
It blew up. It was the biggest clone out there and was the most popular for a long time.
Right.
And I think he had such success with that he went with the Mini. Brian's not wrong. He's hitting the demand of the consumer. It's our problem, not the manufacturers. If we didn't demand it, they wouldn't make it.
We need to stick it to the man, is what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying is we need to buy more pedals that are standard with top mount jacks.
Good luck. Good luck with that. We're going to change the market, just us two, let me tell you.
I think there's more than just us.
I don't know. Let us know what you guys think. Should there just always be top mount jacks? Should there be mini pedals? Should manufacturers all go mini? What are your thoughts? Let us know.
We'll see you guys next week.